pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got a roll call of members?
Mayor Moore.
Here.
Trustee Champlain. Here. Trustee Martin.
Here.
Trustee Garrett. Here. Trustee Tom Trombley is excused tonight.
Okay, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve. We'll have to do them separately because there's different attendance of the two. The last regular meeting of December 10th, we're going to take a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Not all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried, minutes are approved. We also have the special board meeting of December 27th. We only had 3 people here, and one of the people was is no longer on the board.
Right.
I don't know how we would deal with that.
There isn't enough that they would automatically become the official minutes anyway after a certain time, so.
Okay, we'll just
We,
leave
yeah,
it like that.
unforeseen, so.
Okay. Very good. At this time, I'd like to make our presentations for our holiday decorating contest. There's some real outstandingly decorated houses this year. I'm sure it was very difficult to choose which ones were the best, but I want to say that everybody did a great job, and these are the best of the best, I guess. Tom and Neil Levin were first place in this year's holiday decorating contest.
Thank you.
The truck was a nice touch.
That wasn't my truck, though.
Oh, was it? They
It's
said
okay. It's okay.
I was
My neighbor.
They said it right spot. They said it was your truck.
No, it's my neighbor's, Brian. His wife told him, said, the truck doesn't move, you might as well park it and put lights on it.
And you
So he did.
That's perfect.
Oh, that was pretty good. Second place, Clarence and Sharon Patry. Another really nice job again this year.
For those who don't notice their house, they have not only the front set up, but the back of the home as well as the main gypsy. It's really wonderful.
Very good, and Bobby and Debbie Olina. Okay, at this time we would take any questions or communications, notices, or general question period from members of the community. Okay,
Good evening, Mr. Moore.
you say your name and...
Ron Gaudette,
Okay.
46 Church Street.
Okay.
Does the village have any jurisdiction as far as watching regulations as far as traffic on residential streets where they're posted and speed limits are broken and weight restrictions are broken every day?
Well,
Church Street is very bad for that.
Yeah.
High speeds and everything.
The enforcement, Ron, nowadays is the state police. We don't have a local police department any longer. I mean, I hate to say to pass it on that way, but you really need to notify the state police if you see any infractions.
Last Wednesday, just for example, Hulbert Brothers truck went by, a tandem. I used to be a truck driver, so I know their weight. And he was going up Church Street, and my house was shaking. And the tandem, he must have been 40,000 pounds. I called them and told them, I said, if you have any of your trucks again, I think I'm in the right to do that because I live on that street, and it's residential only. And the front of my house was shaking when he went by. I told him, I said, if you see one of your trucks there again, I'll be calling the state police.
And unfortunately, that's how we have to deal with those nowadays.
Is there anything the village can do to,
Well,
that Church Street is, even during church on Sundays, on Saturdays, I've seen people go by there 40, 50 mile an hour and everybody's coming out or going in. Very dangerous.
Yeah, we usually communicate the trouble areas to the state police, tell them where we feel there's you know, Prospect Street is a good example of that. I mean, I've had people, I've been going down Prospect Street and up at 30 miles an hour and had people pass me.
Yeah, I know that's ridiculous.
I mean, that's a true fact. So they have been putting a little extra emphasis on Prospect lately, and if church is being a problem, then...
It's very bad. School buses too are very bad. I've called the school. I've seen them going up and down that, street 40, 50, 60 mile an hour. Really
School
bad.
buses?
Oh, yeah,
Whoa.
Prospect Street as well,
very bad. Something should be done.
especially if there's
Not
no
just contacting the police, but something should be done. What, I don't know.
Well, see, we can pass laws that, you know, limit the
If they're
speed
uphill.
or limit the weight, but if somebody doesn't catch somebody, they, in fact, may get away with it sometimes. I mean, there's not 100% coverage on...
It will be if I get out there with my camcorder.
Well...
That's a great idea.
There you go. No, I'm not trying to make light of it. It is a serious problem, and
Yeah,
I've
it's
noticed
gonna
that...
take somebody getting killed on that street. And I've seen, cars and pickups and everything racing up and racing down. It's ridiculous.
I've spoken with Kevin Triller several times, and he said, you know, as people bring this up, which is quite regularly, do what you did. Call the trucking company, he said, and write down the license plate number. Call them with it. And if you've got buses, you should be reporting the bus number. And you should copy a letter to the superintendent on that, as well as to, you know, when you call the bus garage, so it's covered.
Yeah. And like I say, I've been talking with various neighbors around there, and they said it's ridiculous. It's like a shortcut between Main Street to get up in the French Village or over near Kintex and to the Northway.
Yeah, speeding is an issue, I think, everywhere.
Everywhere it's bad in the
Uh,
North Country,
And I was in
all over.
Plattsburgh this weekend, and I can't believe how some people drive. They go through red lights, going too fast, changing lanes without signaling. I mean, it's like, I think Amy has a good plan.
I hate to say it, excuse me, but I lived in Canada 25 years, and I think the Americans learned from the Canadians coming down here from Montreal very well.
That's probably true, Ron. And unfortunately, bad habits get learned just as well as good
Yeah, in the
habits.
last 20 years, 30 years, it's bad in Plattsburgh. Wasn't like that before, but a lot more traffic.
Well, I hope that'll help you, Ron. I mean, you know, if you see somebody, like Amy said, you know, I say turn them in, but let them know that you saw them, and if they don't like that, well, then have to report.
Call
them.
the state troopers.
Yeah.
I know it was, wasn't so bad when we were kids, because we had the village top and everything, but now there's gotta rely on the state troopers.
You know, unfortunately, we're too small now to be able to afford, if there's so much training involved today with a police
Well-
officer, it's almost, it's more than their salary, and then you have to maintain a car.
I thought Russ Point was supposed to be able to cover here sometime too. Weren't they working together?
Well,
Both
they're
villages?
running into the same situation we are, that they don't have that much extra money now, and their force isn't big enough to allow for them to come over here. Yes, they were at one point.
So I just wanted to find out anyway what my legal rates were to try to do something before somebody gets hurt. I have grandkids that come from Canada, they live in Canada. They come down and then one's 6 and the other one's 10, so I don't want them running out in the street and be hit by somebody that's going way over the speed limit.
I agree. I think we all agree.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Are there any other comments from the public at this point? Okay, Mickey, we have the report from code enforcement.
Well, there's not a whole lot new. I've been working with the person on the corner over here for the demolition of that building. That seems to have come to a standstill. They picked up the application for a demolition permit, but they have not returned the completed application yet. And I can't issue a permit unless I have an application. I spoke to the owner, I told him what he needed, and there was some confusion as to what he thought he needed and what the contractor was telling him, so I don't know where those two are at, but right now there's no more progress on that project.
So we need to send them a letter, apparently. I just had one spot to report. Where the old meat lockers used to be down on Church Street, well, the front door is open there, and a lot of the windows are
On
open.
a vacant
now.
building?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's not secure anymore. I think that the door in the back is also open.
Somebody must have got in there.
Yeah, it's, just recently somebody's really opened that up. I don't know, there's no floor in there, so I don't know why anybody wanted to be there, but,
That's another
That's
place.
another danger.
It's right next to it.
Champlain.
Yeah.
guess I'm too old.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what's a meat locker? I don't know the code.
No, I do, I know it. Frank Dumas had it.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, that's, does anybody have any questions for Mickey?
The only other thing noteworthy is the new home up in the development is just about completed. They have a few more things to finish up, but after that, I guess it'll be up for sale. So, nice view up there.
I know it's surprising unless you go up there. I mean, it doesn't really look like that. When you go up there, it's,
Yeah.
you can see the mountains and everything. It's quite a different perspective.
Oh, I know.
So they haven't still got the certificate of occupancy yet? It's
No, they're,
in the finishing
they
stage?
haven't completed everything yet. One of the big things that I'm holding them to is the in-ground pipe from the sump pump to the ditch. I know the planning board, we went through extensive arguments over this at the time. And we want to make sure that there are no pipes on top of the ground and, drainage pipes type of thing, so. They were supposed to have an excavator there last week, but that didn't materialize, so I don't know if it's coming this week or not, but I told them no COs until that's done, so they know.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the mayor's report. So I have a couple of things. One, we'll be holding a joint public hearing on the annexation of the school at the Town of Champlain Meeting Room on February 4th at 7 p.m. It's been posted in the paper. We hope that we get good public turnout for that so we can get a good feel for how people think about that. Hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions. The other thing is Rouse's Point Historical Society is looking for support for their proposed, they have a Lakes to Lock Heritage Center. I guess that's going to be in the old railway station in Rouse's Point. And I think we're going to, try to throw them a little support for that. But they're looking, I'm sure, looking for a grant or whatever. There's going to be a couple of people from the state there to give them some guidelines. So if anybody's interested in going, it's let's see, 17th of January. That's a Thursday, 4 to 6. I'm planning on going myself. I won't be able to get there right after because of work, but if any of the other board members want to go to that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
is it at the old railroad station?
No, it's at Halsted Hall,
Was that-
Civic Center. Well, the two rooms they have changed for them. Okay. And I'll have the trustee reports. Trustee Trombley.
Greg and I were able to have our teleconference with Tom Delaney this evening before the meeting. He's a gentleman from Time Warner Cable. We've got just a couple of things that he's going to look into for us, some possible free equipment that we can use to tape village events that are going on that we'll have access to. And when we're going to talk with him again next Monday evening at 5 o'clock and hopefully have everything ironed out so that we could have our public hearing on February 11th at our next board meeting and work towards getting this. It'll probably be, by the time we get the contract, they do what they need to do, they send it to the public service, it's probably going to be summertime by the time, because it takes a couple of months once you get past your public hearing. So the one thing that, and we'll give you a heads up now, that we did talk to him about is the franchise fees. We're currently at 3%, and you can raise it up to 5%. When you do that, it's passed on to you, to the customers through Time Warner Cable. There was a concern about some of the other municipalities that have changed their rates. So we asked what happens when another municipality goes to 5%. We stay at 3%. Does that mean that our village residents have to pick up the balance of that and help pay for this other municipality? And that is not the case.
So our rates would remain lower?
Our rates would remain the same. If we stayed at the 3% and this other municipality went to 5%, if you had basic service and I had basic service and I'm in the 3% range, my fees will be lower than what yours will. So your total bill will be more than mine. So we got that clarified. So hopefully by next Monday night, we'll be looking at getting a contract sent to us and have our public hearing in February, because if not, it won't be until March.
Okay.
We want to get it closed out soon.
Start all over again.
That's right.
We're recommending the 3% in a 10-year agreement.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we don't really want to do the 15, but, we don't really see a reason to go in 5.
Okay. Thanks, Skip. Trustee Martin?
A couple things to report on. What kind of awkward, I broke my glasses, I'm sorry. I'll go to the dollar store and buy another pair. We got a couple quotes, Ian got a couple quotes on the new control system for the water plant. Both were quite a bit higher than what we had anticipated, so we're not quite ready to make a recommendation on getting something to help fix that situation, where we can put in a new control system for the water plant, keep the tank full. The other thing, and I think Amy, you're perhaps going to mention this as well, we've been receiving some calls from concerned citizens about the skating rink downtown. I have a parent here in the village who has volunteered for services, as well as her sons and some of his friends, to help not only to get the skating rink up and functional, but to help maintain it throughout the winter, which will obviously help our responsibility with the public service group, Department of Public Works. Also, Fred Stone has called, and at the St. Mary's Mission, they have taken in a number of pairs of skating rinks that will be available to children who need them.
Ice skates, you mean?
Ice skates, yes. Who will, and obviously that will help
That's awesome.
maintain a valuable resource here for the children in our community. Belt filter press down at the wastewater treatment plant, hopefully by the end of the month. Hopefully by the end of the month, be up and functional. Shared services, nothing in the shared services department this month. We're waiting for our attorney, our new attorney, to draw up paperwork for our inter-municipality agreement with the town of Champlain and the village of Rouse's Point, and that should occur
Supposedly mid to end of the month.
okay. So mid to the end of the month, we'll have some movement in that area as well. So things are moving a little bit slow, but they're moving.
Thank you, Greg. Trustee Garrett?
Yep, top of my list is the ice skating rink. I talked with Ian at great length. The lumber and whatnot that had been donated 3 years ago has since rotted. So he was looking at some more longer lasting, the built-in ice rinks that have the liners and everything that'll also keep the water in, so we don't have to keep bringing the fire department back. So I would like us to look at our contingency fund to see if we've got some funding there, or if I need to go out and get donations in order to cover this, or write a grant for it. But I would really like to get this up and running before February break. People are calling nonstop. because it was a great addition, and I really want to keep that going.
You have quotes on those, Amy, or we have any quotes?
I did some research, but I didn't print quotes because we had
Well,
talked
just
about it.
an idea what,
But $1,500, but based on my last quotes, I think maybe I'll say 2,000 on the mobile on water ones. But and then that price again ranges based on size and how many bells and whistles you want with it. It's not a permanent fixture; it's a temporary fixture.
The other
Like a
thing I
line
was thinking is,
type
you
thing
know,
with a,
Yeah, the liner.
Sideboard, you have to buy plywood and put your own plywood out, but and then they've got the little supports that hold the plywood or asphalt / basketball court.
you know, we could do a dual effect there, that'd be great. Take the tennis courts and burn them up and flood it and have a big ice skating rink with a fence around it. Okay, anyway, next is, congratulations to the winners of the decorating contest. The homes were beautiful. There were so many. It took many, many trips out to vote on these houses and go back out again, see them daylight, see them nighttime, see them again, before decisions could be made. So it was really great. So we're hoping that for Halloween next year we have just equal enthusiasm as we did for the Christmas decorations. They were really very wonderful. I hope everybody got out to see them. And I'd also like to call an executive session to discuss a personnel issue this evening.
okay, we can bring that up within the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Amy, for your report. Now the report from the clerk treasurer.
Everybody's been copied with the December expense and revenue reports. And we also did a January water billing. Water was in the amount of $51,879.37, and sewer was $75,797.07.
Okay, thank you. Now, I entertain a motion to accept or pay the warrant.
Make that motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I just want to point out a couple things that I noticed. I know we're all feeling it with the fuel oil, but with the insulating that we did in the garage, the new furnace, our bills were supposed to reduce. We are currently, if you guys noticed, every week putting out $360 to keep this building alone.
Look at the total. Look at the total fuel oil expenses for the month.
Oh, and it's astronomical.
I think,
Each one of these is week by week.
I think where our problem is the price has gone up dramatically. I don't know if we're using a lot more fuel, but the cost has gone up. great.
Well, we're using over 100 gallons of fuel oil each week.
Yeah, it's a big building. I think this goes back to, we really need to get those setback thermostats in here. That would be a big help. I know I've saved a lot of money at home with those. They automatically turn down at night. Most nights, there's not anybody in here. We could have that turned down, and I'm pretty sure we put money aside in the last budget to do this. They're not expensive items. They're very easy to set up. And like I said, I saved a lot of fuel by doing that. And I think the village could too.
Do we need a motion for that?
Do we have them, setback thermostats at the present time? We need to go purchase some.
I don't know.
I
I
don't
never looked
believe
at
we,
it.
I don't think we have
I
any,
don't
so
think we
maybe,
have it.
okay, under new business, we'll make sure that we get
I mean,
them. We have one here, one in the back. Are there any others? I know there's one upstairs, although we just turn that down and leave it.
yeah, 1, 2, 3, there's 2 in the garage,
This is
5,
just
there's
simple
1 upstairs.
plug and play kind of a thing, or do you
Pretty
have to
much.
have an
No.
electrician come in?
You just need to identify whether it's a millivolt signal, a 24 volt signal, and some are even 110, but you just need to identify what we need and get them. So there's 5 done.
I think there's 6.
Ace Hardware kind of thing?
Yeah, on bills, True Value.
Something.
It's just the programming.
And the other thing on here, I wanted to, our uniforms, we're not wearing them. We're paying this bill monthly. We're paying for Terry, who's been out on medical leave for several months now. And that's $140 that we're just flushing. I know it's only $140, but it makes me nuts. And I think that we need to make a decision, or whether we put it into new business or next month to discuss, do we really want to continue with uniforms, or are we going to enforce that they wear what we're paying for?
I believe we have a contract that is, doesn't end till what,
Yeah, I think we
2009?
pay for them
This,
anyway. I don't
I
think we
think
can
we
get out of
may
that.
have, we may have less than a year left on that contract.
Well, then we need to enforce the wearing of the uniform. We're paying for it. They wanted it, we got it, it has to be worn, in my opinion.
Is that for the personnel code?
It was, yeah.
Personal code?
Well, women's
Personnel
health
code.
policy.
Well, getting back to our warrant, is there any other questions on the warrant?
No, those are just the two that jumped out at me.
Very good. Are there any, is there any other discussion? Trustee Chombley,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Gary,
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, we'll now have the report of the superintendent.
Alrighty, the water telemetry stuff, as Martin mentioned it, I did do some research. I researched it through 3 different organizations, 2 local companies and 1 downstate company. I only have 2 quotes this time, the other company. They are assured me that sometime this week or next week, first thing next week, that they will try to get us a quote. Try to tell them hurry up, because we're looking at doing something, but it didn't seem to be urgent tonight. My concern with that, and I know you want more information so we can be more intelligent on the decision that we make, but the longer we wait, I think the more we pay. So just, I gotta throw that out there. Christmas trees, we picked them all up this week, they went very well, notice went out in the mail, people did have them out either blowing around in the streets or on the side of the road. We got all that taken care of. The ice rink, I spoke with Ms. Garrick and then this evening again with 2 of the trustees. We're gonna work on that. One of the biggest concerns with the ice rink is there's no frost in the ground. The water obviously is above 32 degrees, so it doesn't freeze. So as soon as you dump that onto the ground, it's not going to freeze because it's just going to be absorbed into the surface. So this weekend, the temperatures will be in single digits. The key to that is layering on top of layer on top of layer. And once we can finally get it cold enough where we can establish a few layers, then we can start building it up. But it's a slow process. And it'll be a challenge to grab a hold of ice as far as that goes. The street names for Horizon Heights, I've been asked by Kelly Donahue to give him a report regarding that he's the 911 emergency service coordinator. So if we could, if the board, I don't know how to say that, but he just calls me quite often and wants names for the streets, so he can get it. That's a tasker for him, so I'm trying to help him out as much as I can. And one other concern that I really have is manning. Just manpower. It's been a long time since we had sufficient manpower. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in executive session. So Amy already hit on that point. Other than that, that's really about it.
Okay, this time, thank you, Ian. I notice wastewater treatment plant operators here. What do you have any news from us from down there?
No, were monitored recently by DEC and everything came out in compliance, but they found out that their lab is not in compliance. Their contract, the state contract lab was a little erroneous. But we're progressing slowly with the press installation. It's just a matter of having time and hands to get it done.
And when we finally get it installed, then we're gonna need to have that wired in. Is that the next step after? It's in place now, right?
It's in place.
Is that correct?
It's ready to be bolted in. Now we just have to run the conduit wiring, water lines,
And pipe it,
air lines.
Got to plumb all the utilities and take this road. That bulk, heavy stuff is there.
The heavy beefy stuff is pretty much done.
Slow process, good. A lot of bottle jacks and watch your fingers and stuff like that. And I'd like to say thank you to Woody and Jim Andres, who actually was down there helping me out, if I can just throw that out there. To do that job, which is far beyond our normal job scope, is pretty amazing. We worked well as a team and got it done. It's not complete, but it's much, much farther than I think we have ever imagined. So soon we will have a full operating system.
I know that's a big money saver because I know the quotes to transport and install that were
Absolutely.
substantial.
More than the purchase price of the unit.
Exactly. That is a great job. Thanks, Woody. And I guess at this time too, I'd like to make a comment. We've had a lot of comments on our snow plowing and whatnot, and I think we've done quite well lately, keeping caught up with our short staff. But I just got a comment that December was one of the snowiest Decembers on record, and it was very difficult to keep up with. We had a lot more snow. It's hard to picture now. It's all gone, but we really had no place to put it. We were struggling with that quite a bit, and I think the crew did quite well with that to catch up on it. There was several storms back to back, and it was very difficult to keep the sidewalks clear and the roads in good shape, and I think they did as well as they could. So just wanted to say thanks again to the whole crew for what they do. Now move on to the, oops, wait a minute, whoop, forgot, vote on the, there we go, okay. Correspondence, sorry, thought I missed something, got so many notes.
Letter to Firmer rescinding our notice of intent not to renew our workman's compensation insurance. Correspondence from Clinton County Veterans Service Agency regarding the Cold War Veterans Tax Exemption Bill. Correspondence from Northeastern Clinton Central School regarding 2008-2009 water and sewer rate and a response letter. Correspondence from Northeastern Clinton Central School regarding annexation of the village. Letter to NICEX Solutions regarding voice of choice electric supplier changes. Letter to Susanna Pillar regarding signed documents for the Horizon Heights Road dedication. Correspondence from NICEX regarding street lighting. Letter to Larry Barcombe, Town of Champlain regarding completed sand salt agreement. Correspondence from Clinton County Highway Department regarding 2008 annual utility work permit. Correspondence from Clinton County Health Department regarding boil water order for Riverdale Mobile Home Park. Correspondence from Clinton County Health Department regarding lifting the boil water order for Riverdale Mobile Home Park. Correspondence from New York State DEC regarding monitoring results of the wastewater treatment plant. Correspondence from ARC regarding monetary donation. Thank you letter to ARC for the monetary donation. Request for a water sewer credit from Doug Powers for the Riverdale Mobile Home Park.
Okay, just one comment on the street lighting. We have been in touch with NICEG. We have been for a while. They're not real quick on replacing the lamps we have out. We have several lamps out. We do keep a list of the lights that are out. We turn them into NICEG, and I don't know, maybe you could comment on that, Ian. It doesn't seem like it's a priority item with them, but we do have a fair amount of lights out, and have we been following up with them to make sure they know we're out here?
Yes. What we do is once a month, or if I get more comments from residents that come in and they say, hey, streetlight X is out. If I get 2 or 3 in a row, then we send them out early. Mr. Kissel and Sorrell both on different occasions have driven around in the evenings when they do their operations, either they're checking the plants or whatever. And we have a roster, the whole village roster from NICEAG, that we have lights, that we own lights. So they go through that and they check off certain lights and indicate which ones are bad. And then I take that information, put it on a spreadsheet, fax that down to Binghamton, New York at NICEAG, and then they run it through their filter process and send it back to Plattsburgh, and then Plattsburgh runs it through their filtering press, and there you go. It gets put on somebody's whiteboard, and then they get to it when. Well, I'm not going to bash anybody. I'm just saying. I mean, you know, there's a long process to it. I don't want to point fingers, but to get a response to that, I don't know a certain point of contact here locally at the NICEAG office. The only one I know is Jerry Griffiths, the one that does the street lights. Anyway, out of Bingham.
You know, I said to Ian about that, and I don't know whether it's kosher for us to do. I guess we'd have to ask Mr. Marshall. But we pay a rent for these poles, and these poles are continuously not in use and not doing their job. What if we deduct from our bill the rent of the number of lights? I bet we'll better get a quicker response with that and close the note. Here are the number of lights that have been out for X number of months. It's now been 3 months in a row. We have faxed, we have called, we've tried to follow up on this list.
They do repairs. I mean, they don't blatantly ignore something. I mean, just some of the lights, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean, I'm not citing for NICEAG, I'm just, if we're gonna put out information, I want it to be right. And they do fix some of the lights. And Woody's been out, he's looked at lights, and they weren't working, they're now working, and other lights are bad, so. But I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it just, there are some that's a continual, it's constant, that they're not working. It's repeated lights that have been going on every year I've been here, same lights. So, you know, we sit back, and to what point do we stop sitting back?
Well, you could send them a letter. I don't think you can refuse to pay them. I know where that goes. Turn the power off. But
Well, it doesn't matter, they're not working, turn them off.
we could send them a letter and ask them about that. I guess that would be the first step, to ask them how come it takes so long to repair these. I know they don't come out for one light, and I understand that, or maybe 2, but I think, you know, when you get 3 or 4 out, maybe they could explain to us better how.
Right.
I think we have a couple of other names, contact names that we'll follow up.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see, Time Warner Cable franchise, I'm sorry, to new, old business. The Time Warner Cable franchise, Kim reported on that. Cherry Street, there's nothing new. Champlain, that's going to be brought up under new business. GSE meter, nothing new. Salt same agreement, nothing new. And the Napa Building driveway request, I'm going to bring that up under new business also. So, does anyone else have any other old business?
Dave, if I could go back to correspondence just for a moment, what's the procedure for this Cold War Veterans Tax exemption? What do we have to do there?
Okay, I was going to bring that up under new business to table that. I do want to pursue it, but I just read the letter that was sent to us. I really don't know what the law is or what the details are, so I guess we need to follow up on that for next meeting. We only levy taxes in June, so it's not something I want to forget about. It's something we need to look at.
Okay, thank you.
You would qualify for that, wouldn't you, Greg?
Yes, I would.
Me too.
Okay. All right, moving on to new business. First order of business, we need to name 2 new streets. I propose that we name the first street going in, which is, I believe, east-west, Horizon Lane, and the street heading up the hill, which is mostly north-south, Racine Way. So I entertain a motion to go ahead and name those streets.
I make the
That's
motion.
good.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you wanted to do a second and then discussion.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
Okay, second.
Made motion, okay. Give me a second. Is there any discussion on that?
I just have a comment. We, actually, we sent in for our CHIPS money, we had to put something down, and it was for Horizon Heights and Racine Hill, that we discussed at the last board meeting. So I'm not sure if that was an oversight, or you want to just change it?
No, we thought about that, and thought that the shorter would be better. You'd have to have Horizon Heights Street, or Horizon Heights Lane, or whatever. It would be a little bit longish, I thought. It's not, I mean, that's the only thing I was thinking of, is like something that would fit on that envelope. Not trying to scrunch the letters together.
Right, I'm not sure of what the ending would have to be, if it could be just Horizon Heights and nothing.
I know we have lanes
Right,
in the village, so I'm sure those are acceptable, and I believe Way is also. Yeah.
Back to the conversation we had with Mr. Donahue regarding those street names. He recommended that we give him 2 names for each street, and then he picks the one, I guess, that fits it. I don't know how that really works. I don't know why it's that way, or even if it really truly is that way. Maybe I misunderstood.
Well, I looked that up under NICOM, and it's the village's responsibility to name all streets.
Okay.
So it's our call.
That's
I
good.
think the only
There is no
conflict
doubt.
of a 911 is probably what he's talking about.
Exactly.
You know, if there's something else in the county with that same street address, I would assume that is
Or street.
exactly
Well,
what
they
it
can let
is.
us know if that is the case, but I think we're good here.
I wouldn't think that would, because, I mean, there's Maple Street in Rouse's Point, there's Maple Street in the village of Champlain, right?
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of, you know,
Well, I think it would be the mix-ups within the village itself.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah, we're small enough, we know the
Yeah, we
names
don't have
of
those
most of our
streets.
streets.
So many subdivisions.
So,
Horizon Way,
Horizon Lane.
Horizon Lane.
Horizon
Racine
Lane.
Way,
do you guys wish for me to contact Mr. Donahue with this information, or do we have an official
If
correspondence?
we pass the motion, that is the street names.
Okay, so then I can push
It
that
is a
forward?
simple motion if we want to change them also. It's not the case with towns and cities, but it is with villages. And if we wanted to change it next month, we could. But I mean, I don't see any reason to, but it's strictly a board decision, the street names. So, is there any further discussion on that? It's the one, half a dozen the other thing. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. These will be the new street names. Okay, we have various water and sewer billing corrections that need to be made. Because we estimated the water and sewer bills this quarter, we have some people that have gotten back to us that they are not at home. And because we estimated from when they were home. So I'm gonna group the ones where there were no people there together, so we can act on all of those together rather than to do them separately. And that would be, let's see,
can we eliminate the first one on there though? And then do the other, group the others?
yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
The rest of, 2 through 5 are,
Let's do 2 through
Yeah.
5. Does everybody have their sheet?
Mhm.
They're pretty straightforward. We have several others, but we can deal with those. Okay, if everybody's had a chance to review these, then we would entertain a motion to do the billing adjustment for these 2 through 5 properties.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, trustee Trombley,
Aye.
Trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Garrett,
Aye.
and Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, now we have, we still have three others. First,
Nothing on number one.
we,
We have any action on number one?
The ladies checked with the town, with Clinton
county,
County.
yeah.
I called,
They are not responsible for any water or sewer bills. The property owner is. So the dubious question here was really losing half the owner throughout this whole dispute, and she owes us for this money. She
Well-
has already paid her.
How is there any water usage there? I mean, it's
There
basically-
is a charge.
It's
That's
just
the
a service charge,
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to charge.
All right. Well, why don't we, I don't know if we need a motion to do that, shouldn't we just send her a bill then? Is that,
Well,
okay,
she did receive the bill,
all right.
the January bill, which included the charges, and she called on it.
Oh,
did
she's
not-
saying that the county still,
The county
Had
owned that
possession of it?
property before this January billing. She didn't get the property until the beginning of October. And so the bill included two billings, the July and the October billing, which really was the county's responsibility.
and they're
It
saying they
belonged to
won't
the
pay.
county.
Yeah, they're saying,
And they're
yeah,
not
I'm not
paying for it,
responsible
so-
for water and sewer charges.
And I don't know all the legalities, what happened. Obviously, we're not gonna know that between the county and her when they settle this whole problem.
Okay, well then would a
So,
better
sir,
course of
before-
action be to pay, to send her a bill for whatever it was from the date that she,
She
We
paid,
paid
She already
she
paid
did
that.
pay
and she
the
paid that?
service charge
Oh,
for us
okay,
and for
so
the
we need
January
to deal
bill.
with the other part of the
Right.
bill.
Yeah, you have to get that adjustment, the
All right,
135.46, so we
I
can get it taken off the billing.
Well, I guess I would entertain a motion to do that. If we're not ever gonna see the money, I don't know how much time and energy we'd wanna expend on, 64.50.
I'll make that motion.
Well, actually, it'll be
135.
135.46.
It's 2 months.
2 months worth.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's disputed as to who was the owner at the time, I mean, are we gonna ever settle that?
I mean, it took how
She
many
doesn't pay
years
anything.
till she
We
got.
need to clear our books. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so, we have a motion, Kim,
Make that motion.
second?
Greg's got a question. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a second. yeah.
Oh, second, I thought we already did that first and second, I'm sorry.
Did you second it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a second. Okay, now
We're
we have
gonna
a
be
second.
faced with this situation every quarter?
Not with her, the property has been deeded back
it's-
to her.
Yeah, it's been settled. That portion of it.
Okay, so we're gonna take this 135, but what happens the next billing cycle?
She would get a bill.
Right.
Now she's the owner of the property again.
Okay.
The county
But
has
she
possession
doesn't
of
pay her
it.
bills?
She didn't pay her bills previously, when she owned it the original time.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
there, all right.
There was a dispute over who owned it after she had a lawsuit, and she said she'd have the property back, and it went to tax sale, and I guess that got rescinded. And it's been a quagmire, to say the
But she
least.
bought it and didn't have the money. to
Did the
pay.
county ever pay for the work the village did on cutting the grass up there?
I don't really think we ever billed the county, to be honest with you.
I was gonna say, if they paid that bill, why wouldn't they pay the water charges?
Well, you know what the strange thing is, because when the taxes were levied from last year, we couldn't charge the county for the taxes on that property, so that we needed to adjust. But there's water and sewer billing from last year that they told us to send back to the county to get paid. So whether we get paid for that is another, because we haven't received our check yet.
I think we need to absolve her of this payment, because then you have a dispute over whether she actually had ownership of the property at that time.
Well, she.
It's either the county or nobody, it looks
Right.
like at this
She,
point.
she was the first week in October when it was actually deeded to her through the county. That she sent paperwork with the dates on it.
Okay, so that, I guess that would clear the books up for us,
Right.
and,
The other thing to keep in mind too is that, not right now, but we're gonna probably have to make a motion to start charging taxes on that property again, because remember the county asked us to
right?
absolve them of that, and so now it's back in her hands, so
So we will do that at this meeting.
we can. We weren't prepared, I just thought of it as we were speaking, so.
Good thought.
Okay,
Started on the day that she got the property back?
Yep, right towards October 5th.
okay, let's vote on settling this up then. Trustee Champlain?
Aye.
Trustee Martin? Trustee Garrett?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, that takes care of those. Now we have the, well, trailer park, I guess. Another one that we had. Now, I think Donna did math on this.
Thank you.
We we took the national average per person per day for tenants. We came up with 78,000 gallons. The October billing usage was 184,000, less the national average, came to 105,000. Obviously, we would bill for the water because we lost the water, we had to produce it. The sewer charge we can look at, and that would be at $4.22 per 1,000 gallons, would be a sewer credit of $444.16.
I'll make a motion that we accept the sewer credit to Doug Powers in the amount of $444.16.
And second,
Second.
is there any discussion?
We do have a one-time credit only. He is technically a new owner. Should we stipulate that it's for the owner as opposed to the address? Because we have done credits at this address in the past couple of years.
What does the local law read on that? I think we have a local law on that.
I'm not sure, honestly, I didn't research that today.
Well, we can send them a note. If
It's a
we do
one-time.
this, that this is one time,
Okay.
all right. Is there any further discussion? If not, trustee Champlain?
Aye.
Trustee Martin?
Aye.
Trustee Garrett?
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. And I just have one other one for water usage. This is for Barb Trombley. I think we have anything on that? Yeah, you do a great job on these, Donna.
Oh, thanks.
I know, it must take you a little while to.
I might have to tip one back later.
I got our Mountain Dew for this one.
Oh, boy.
Really spun right in action.
We're going,
Okay. What was the amount on this one?
44.17.
should be at the bottom. The sheet, the other one.
Oh, you know what we just did? We just did Barb's. You just did Barb's.
No.
No.
No?
It's 400.
Oh, that was 444.
that
This
was
is
it.
244. Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Wrong day.
Okay, and
I make a motion that we offer the sewer credit to Barb Trombley in the amount of $244.76.
okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
This is a one-time credit.
This is a one-time credit also. We should probably, yeah, we should do it on this one also. Anytime that we do that, we should remind people that, I know you do when they come in and ask about them,
Right.
Donna, and that's what we should do, but we should also send something in writing so that
Send a
people.
letter telling them they were gonna get
Yeah.
the credit at one point, okay.
Yeah. Okay, is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, oops, I should do roll calls. Trustee Chombley, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, that takes care of the water. Okay, and the other item, which Greg had brought up, was that veterans tax exemption bill. I had gotten a letter stating that it was, had been passed, but I do not have any from Steve Bowman. But I do not have any details on this, so I really don't feel prepared to act on this. We need to find out exactly what
We have
this.
to do a local law. Well, you have to schedule a public hearing, and you can do the local law the same night, but, you have to come up with a word with Mr. Marshall, unless there's something that they gave us.
Yeah, well, we need to
but-
find out what exactly it is, too. It
Right.
doesn't really spell anything out here.
Oh,
In his letter, it just says that that they changed something in it and that we can act on it. I don't know, we might run into that now, Mickey?
Yeah, they sort of jumped the gun there. They scheduled a public hearing on it and everything, but according to Jim Gagnon, the details haven't been ironed out in the whole program yet, so.
That's why-
He was advocating that they wait till the actual, what they're gonna offer is settled.
Oh, okay, so this is still being worked out.
Right.
All right. Okay, that's why there wasn't any details.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, have to prove that they served 30 ton, DA-214, all that stuff.
Okay, the other, I don't know if everybody got copied on this or not, but Mr. Marshall told us that we could do a license agreement. He would be happy to draw one up for us to allow, what's the name of that place? The Border Mail Services. To use that adjacent driveway. It would be something that we would renew year to year, and we'd be able to discontinue at any time. He would do the wording on that specifically. I believe that we can't do, or they can't, or we can't do any improvements there. I mean, like we couldn't pave it or anything like that. But anyway, he said it would be a licensing thing, and it's really up to the board whether we want to do that or not.
Would we allow, I mean, would we put in there restrictions such as parking and whatnot? Because I can envision, you know, several trucks now
Skating rink right
parked in.
We can put in.
He's talking about moving the skate rink.
We can put that wherever, whatever we want in there, as far as, you know, the license agreement. We can make it as restrictive or non-restrictive as what we want. They have to, the next step would be by them to tell us exactly what they want to use. You know, they have to be very specific about that, 10 feet, 20 feet by whatever, and that would be it. But I guess what I would be looking for is an approval for us to go forward with trying to come up with a license agreement. We could approve it if so at the next meeting, but I think approve to go ahead and do a license agreement. Obviously, we would look at it before we give it the final.
Make a motion to do that.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I think one of the things I noticed is the parking vans or something behind that building. How far back do they own? Because don't we have, doesn't the village own
You want it all.
that land back there?
I'm not sure. I mean, we'd have to look at the maps. I
The
think we-
Assembly of God,
Why don't we lease?
that was right behind.
Why don't you guys lease it?
Uh,
Month.
We can do that.
Can't, flood zone, the FEMA
Bought out by
buyout.
FEMA.
Even the asphalt? I mean, it's paved where they got their vans parked. You can't.
We have to give them the right of way
Well,
across their property?
we need to be, the one thing that Dave did mention to me, and that's the thing, we need to be very specific about what we are agreeing to in the license agreement. You know, this many feet here, that many feet there, whatever. I mean, that's what we need to do. They need to tell us what they want to use. We need to look at that and say, you know, we could do this or that.
At least the license agreement would protect us.
Well, it goes to the
Right.
same for Mark Engel. Don't we own that property behind there? He had requested to park there. I mean, parking is happening there. Should we not have the same kind of agreement with him as far as parking on an annual basis? Because we're gonna run into a little bit of a rat's nest if we don't do that with him.
Well, we can do that. Actually, what happened before was, our legal advice was that we couldn't do that.
Mhm.
I think they were talking about leasing.
I think
I'm
he
pretty
wanted
sure
to
leasing.
purchase it, didn't he?
Purchase or
Right,
lease,
yes.
and I
Right.
don't think we could do that.
Right.
Right.
A licensing agreement is that, yes, you can use this, but it's not, like, when you rent something to somebody, it's theirs.
Correct.
They could, you know, park tractor trailers there, skis,
Mhm.
junk trucks, and it's theirs.
Right, so that's why I'm saying, should we not do the same thing for
If you
Mark's
wanted,
place
if you
as
wanted to
well?
approach us for a licensing agreement, yes, we could.
Okay.
And like I said, the legal advice kind of led us to believe we couldn't do that, but we found out that we can do this, so. I mean, that's all, that's his opinion, I mean,
Right.
so. In any event, this is a good place to try it out. I think he said, you know, with a licensing agreement also, there's no, the person isn't paying, there's no agreement. If you think it isn't working out, putting big ruts in the grass, whatever, you can stop this.
I have a question. The zoning board is gonna be looking at this application, and this is part of it, although this is a village board decision that you have to make. But when you're talking about vehicles going back there, what type of vehicles are you looking at?
Well, we'll have to get the detail from them. I really don't know, they weren't very specific in their request, and that's something we have to find out.
I
before
don't know
we-
if exactly they were requesting about parking, they were
I don't think there was any
about backing
parking.
into the, using
To
the driveway
unload,
to
yeah.
get to unload, wasn't
Well,
anything about parking.
my concern is if they're gonna backtrack the trailers down that narrow strip of land, now you're on Main Street and you got it back in there, you're not gonna drive in and go around.
I think they were talking about like the FedEx drivers.
That's
and
what
the
I've seen in
UPS
front of their
truck.
building.
Well, that's what I wanna know, because the
Yeah,
zoning board is
but
gonna
that-
wanna
I think
know
that's what
that.
they were talking about, so it's easier for them to back up to the back door to unload rather than
So they'll
park
have
on the street.
Crowd the
they'll have to spell it out
roadway,
what their
which
needs
was-
are.
yeah,
and then we
Exactly.
Very interesting in December.
We dictate
Yeah,
what
it was
they can
exciting.
do. They have their wants and needs and say, yes, you can, you can't.
Exactly. Oh, okay, all in favor of proceeding with a licensing agreement, for
Mailbox, board of mail.
Board of Mail?
Yeah.
please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the motion is carried. Okay, and, let's see. Okay, at this time I would accept a motion to purchase 6 setback thermostats of the correct type for the office and the garage.
Make a motion. Second. As long as we get 3 quotes on pricing of them.
Well, I don't think
I
we
don't
need
think you need 3.
3 on
We don't?
these are
I don't
They're
know.
probably
about
about 50 bucks an
They're
hour.
like $40 or $60 a piece.
There's like 40, you don't even need to get a quote.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have no idea, but
Oh, really?
Yeah, these are quite,
They're very reasonable.
they pay for themselves in a very
It's
short period of time.
$49.99. You only need 2 verbal quotes.
Okay, you had a second on that?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, let's start seeing like, trustee Trombley,
Aye.
trustee Martin,
Aye.
trustee Garrett,
Aye.
Mayor Moore, aye. Okay, you'll go shopping.
Get on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bottle some of this heat and bring it to my house.
The other thing, if we wanted to approve money up to $2,000 for a ice rink liner, I don't know, would we be able to use that this year, or would be something that we would be looking at for next year?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really researched it much. We had a discussion, and then I went online. Actually, we were having pizza for lunch, and I said, well, I'm gonna check on it. So I went online, and later that afternoon, Amy came in, and I said, well, I just check this out. So I really haven't researched it. Is there availability? Sure. I mean, there's you type up ice rink, backyard ice rinks, and you get millions of them. So I really don't have a lot of information. The stuff that I
Are we
have is very
gonna,
basic.
are we gonna be able to proceed with an ice rink for this year? I know I've had people ask about that also. Are we gonna be able to proceed with that, or do we really
Well,
need
what,
this?
the current arena that we have right now, the current location that we are gonna use for the rink is the old one, and we're gonna put forth a considerable effort to get it established. But again, the
With or
cost.
without?
With or without spending the $2,000 for an ice rink. Here's a concern of mine though, if I could just throw this out. If we go forward and we purchased a seasonal ice rink, you put it up, take it down, and there's a lot of functions that go with that. You lose parts, you tear the liner, you have to store it, you have to store it dry because it'll mold and so on and so on and so on. So there's a considerable amount of energy put into maintaining this system. You use 3 or 4 months out of the year. It's a great product, I'm sure, but if we try our best to utilize what we have now and use those dollars later to maybe put an asphalt parking space down by the river, I think it could have more than one purpose. Maybe for, I don't know, you could have picnics down there, or basketball. You can't have permanent basketball poles, but if you put a chunk of concrete in the ground with a steel pole in there, you know, and then you take your basketball thing and slide it down in there, and then you remove it, that's not a permanent fixture. That can be food for thought. Where you could have a basketball court in the fall, summer months, or whatever, and then have it designed in a manner with a curb around it, so you could then flood it for a nice rain. Great location for parking. It's off the main street, a lot less hassle. So
Well, the Main Street just brought in people's attention to it that weren't aware.
that
But
is true.
it's worked with us just doing the berm and filling it as long as we have cold weather. I mean, that's the ice rink, it's
Yeah,
just
we-
basically on weather.
Yeah,
December was
That's good
great, but, you know, now hasn't started off too well, but.
Yeah.
well, do you wanna make a motion to table that so we take more time?
Yeah,
to
let me look
research
into it. I can look into grants too. You know, I'm all for grants for stuff like that. 'Cause that's a
Chances are you
luxury
won't
item.
get that this year, but that'll be
Correct.
for next year. So-
Okay, do we have a second to table that issue then, so we have more information?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? We just discussed it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. But
Opposed?
still proceed with
Motion is
what
carried.
we
Yeah, let's-
did before.
Yeah, flood that.
Yeah.
And now, bring a big surprise on everybody. We need to schedule some budget workshops.
No, I knew that was coming, so I brought my calendar. It has to be Monday nights for me until
Yeah.
the end of February. I have basketball
Okay,
Tuesday,
Monday
Wednesday,
nights.
Thursday, Friday night.
Probably set a date or two just to get started. I know it's. I think
Is that what you said last year? You guys did
That would, Woody, we would really appreciate
Yeah.
getting some kind of a budget together from you as to what you think we're gonna need at the wastewater plant for next year.
Have to have Donna give me the
I mean,
spreadsheet.
not
She-
tomorrow,
No,
but-
but her cheat sheet that she did
And-
up for me last year.
Ian also, and, let's see, it used to be Kim and Steve, the roads, we need to decide where we're headed with the streets for this year.
Pick a road for two if
Ian
possible.
can do a proposal as to what we,
I'd like to get
Okay.
could maybe do two small ones.
two small ones. Little and metal.
So, Mondays, we're on the 14th.
We got two trustees.
How about the 28th and the 7th?
January 28th
Or
and
February
February 7th.
7th.
February 7th, that's not
Is-
a Monday though.
February.
Oh, I'm in July,
I know
I'm
that's
sorry.
the problem. July.
July.
That's right across from January.
You need glasses?
Whoa, okay. Well, I was wishing it was July. I was wondering how come the 4th was
From
red.
Greg's.
I need the, okay, the 4th is our hearing, so that, how about the 28th? We try to get started on the 28th and maybe come up with
February?
some other dates.
January.
I was gonna say, whoa. Yep.
And then maybe we could proceed from there with further dates and get started anyway.
6
Do you
p.m.?
wanna pick a couple dates or just go with
Well,
one?
it's my birthday week.
6 work or 6:30?
6 fine with me.
6 good? Gets everybody to eat?
Uh,
Give you guys time to get dinner?
6 would be good.
Sandwich or
Well,
leftover.
you wanna do 6:30 so you have time to eat?
No, I'd rather
Last
get going
time.
and get done.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did them earlier, yeah.
I don't-
6.
6 is good.
Yeah, I think it was 6:30 maybe, I don't know for sure, but
Is,
earlier the
I know,
better.
Yeah, 6 is good.
6 p.m. budget, okay.
Ian probably would rather hang around.
Yeah, that's a good little jaunt. Go
You
home.
did them at 6 and you kind of cut them off basically at an hour and a half at the longest.
Yeah, I think that worked well. I noticed after about an hour and a half,
Be
we
done.
really lost headway.
Just remember though that, I know it's true, but then toward the end when it was really crunch time, we were here like 3 hours and.
Yeah, we want to
So,
avoid
you know,
that.
couple
Well, we have more of
hours.
the information up front
What's
this
the,
year, because you're used to it, that you've done one
I think we did pretty
budget.
well last year, but it
Who
was.
did the?
what's the date when we have to have the tentative
And
budget done? Do you know, Juanita?
It's the end of March.
March 21st or
March
something like that.
20-something.
Okay, so we need to hit it hard in February if we can.
Woody's gonna do the wastewater, formulate a budget for that. I mean, you're well versed in that. The streets, no problem. How about water? Did Larry do that last year? Did he have a part in that, or?
We usually just ask what are the needs in each department, you know, above and beyond.
Okay, well, let's meet
Right.
January 28th at 6.
Wish list. Okay.
And then we'll set some, a
Parameters.
more intensive schedule at that time. Everybody will have a little better idea where they're gonna be in February, so.
My schedule already.
Okay.
Tracy will be in San Diego in February. That's not
Nice.
fair. I'll be doing budget.
It's fun.
Okay, I didn't have any further new business. Does anyone else have any further new business?
Executive session, please.
Okay, for what purpose?
Personnel issue.
Okay, personnel issue. Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carried. We go into recess, executive session, and return after.
You know, since you mentioned your furnace, I've counted the times that